and sisters.
LA 18's Kababayan Today and 2015's SPCN presents Kahit, Saan for the 38th annual Samahang Filipino Cultural Night.
We live as one family.
Get to know the legacy and history of this meaningful college experience for Filipino-Americans in Southern California. The Traditionalist Suite, also known as the Forgotten Suite, brings life back to many cultural aspects that have been hidden from modern-day society. The suite represents a collection of tribes residing in the hills and mountains of the Philippine archipelago, particularly many of the Lumad tribes in Mindanao of southern Philippines. The tribes consist of non-Christian Filipinos whose beliefs predate Islamic and Christianity influences. Instead, they believe in various gods and goddesses of nature. They are influenced by Southeast Asian countries, primarily due to trade and immigration. However, the tribes have been largely untouched by Spaniard and American colonization in both a religious and cultural aspect. The tribes utilize a visual array of dances in order to portray and tell stories of their everyday lives, routines, beliefs, as well as important aspects, which include but are not limited to war, death, harvest, legend, and godly worships.
The Traditionalist Suite in SPCN basically represents the lives of the tribes in the Philippines. So we do the dances to incorporate the movements of like their daily lives and their celebrations. So basically, we're dancing to ask for like good harvest and protection from warfare. The suite is important to SPCN overall because SPCN is trying to trace back the history of Philippines altogether, and the Traditionalist Suite is basically the beginning of it. In terms of friendships, the Traditionalist Suite is always known to be like kind of the closest suite out of all of SPCN, and I think this year we did a really good job of keeping that family unit kind of together. Being part of SPCN this year helped me learn a lot actually, because back in high school I didn't surround myself with that many Filipinos, so I learned a lot about my community overall and like how you fit in with all these other people that share the same history as you.
In terms of friendships, you can really see the dynamics change, because if you look back at the beginning of SPCN, people were shy and they didn't want to talk to each other, but now we're like one big family. It was personally important for me to be a part of SPCN because I immigrated to America when I was 8 years old. In my process of assimilation, I forgot my roots. I didn't know how to speak Tagalog anymore, and I don't know important history that shows why I'm here right now. And so being a part of SPCN, where I can be surrounded by other Filipinos who are passionate about Filipino culture, I was able to participate in an experience I will never be able to forget.
The Clara Suite represents the 16th century colonial period in the history of the Philippines, when the Spaniards introduced European culture and Catholicism. The name Clara comes from the heroine in Jose Rizal's novel, Nole Me Tangere. Maria Clara de los Santos is a mestizo woman born of Spanish and Filipino descent. Like the themes and characteristics of Rizal's character, the dances portray the elegance and nobility of the high-class Filipinos of the era. Furthermore, the dances were only taught to the elite and are usually thematic to courtship or the coming of age for women. Female movements are embodied by flowing gestures that symbolize an attempt to impress as they are courted by masculine signals of the men. The style is influenced by several European dance styles, including the waltz, fandango, mazurka, and polka. The Maria Clara Suite essentially symbolizes the virtue of women in perfect harmony with that of the men.
So the history of this dance is that it stems from the Spanish, and we really take a lot of Spanish influences into this dance, Spanish ballroom dancing, with a little bit of a Filipino flair in our own kind of style. And really, the reason why this dance is so elegant is because a lot of the more privileged people and the people who had more money dance this dance because they were the ones that were able to buy the dresses and buy the pretty shawls, and they would dance these at their own parties. From being part of the suite, you really learn how to work together with people, and you learn how to be graceful. I know it's one of the more kind of flaunty, graceful suites, and when you come in here, in here alone and you're like, I'm learning this dance and that's really cool, but then you get a partner and you have to learn what works with them, and really not only that, but to work together as a suite and to get all your moves together and be on time. Originally when I came into this dance, I'd never done a partner dance before, and so just to learn how to work with your partner, and not only that, but when you have a prop, or our prop is this shawl, and it's one of our dances for Manton de Manila. And basically, you just have to learn how to work with them and to be on time and to be there for the people in your suite. I really never had outlets to express my Filipino culture, and I've never really danced a Filipino dance, but I know that for me, I learn a lot about what influences have been spread out throughout the Philippines and why we are who we are. And also, personally, because my grandpa really liked ballroom dancing, and it reminds me of him, and I used to watch him ballroom dance when I was younger in the Philippines.